The King and the Rising Storm. Narrated in the voice of an elder storyteller by the fireside. Soft drum beats. Crickets hum. The elder's voice rises, calm and deep. Children of Igala, gather close and listen well. For tonight, we speak of Ayegba Om'Idoko, the Lion of Idah, a king whose courage fed the river and whose sacrifice wrote our destiny upon the earth. This is not a tale of dreams, no. It is the song of blood, of drums, and of one man who faced the gods and did not tremble. The peace before the storm. Long ago, when the moon hung low and fat above the River Niger, the Igala Kingdom stretched wide, from the forests of Ayegba to the waters of Lokoja. The markets of Idah rang with laughter. The blacksmith's fires glowed red through the night. And upon the royal stool sat Ayegba Om'Idoko. Om'Idoko meaning son of strength. He was a ruler of fairness, whose eyes saw both the warrior and the farmer alike. His people said of him, Ayegba Om'Idoko, the one whose words are heavier than iron. But peace, my children, is a bird that never perches for long. Across the river, the Jukun warriors of Kwarafa stirred in jealousy. They had seen the growing wealth of Idah, her brass, her salt, her yam barns. And so they sent spies, whispering through the trees, planning to break the Igala spirit. The prophecy of the river woman. One night, when thunder growled and rain washed the palace roofs, the Idah dreamed. He saw a woman rising from the River Niger. Her skin glistened like wet stone, her eyes shone like the moon. Around her neck were beads of coral and bone. Ayegba, she said, her voice soft as rippling water. The Jukun will come soon, like fire across dry grass. Their spears are sharp, and their hearts are cruel. If Idah must live, blood must be given to the river. The king awoke trembling. He called his seers, his priests, his own new chief advisors. The oldest priest, Odo Gush, spoke with a heavy sigh. The river does not lie, my king. The spirit you saw is Anikpi, your daughter. She is the chosen one. The gods have asked for her blood to shield the kingdom. Silence filled the palace. Even the night wind dared not move. Ayegba looked at his daughter, young, beautiful, full of laughter like morning light. And his heart cracked. How can a father give his blood to save his land? He whispered. But the priest only bowed and said, Ojo Alu, Ojo Atu, the rain will fall, and it will stop. But life of a people must continue.
The shadow of Kwarafa. Days turned to weeks, and the signs grew dark. Travelers from the north brought word of marching soldiers, red dust, and burning villages. The Jukun king had sworn to crush Idah once and for all. War drums began to echo through the hills. Men sharpened their spears. Women wove charms of protection from palm fronds and red cloth. Ayegba stood upon the walls of Idah, staring at the distant horizon. He remembered his dream, the daughter of destiny. That night, he called his daughter, Princess Anikpi. She came with quiet grace, wearing a white wrapper and beads that glowed faintly in the torchlight. Father, she said gently, the river spoke to me too. I know what must be done. Ayegba's eyes filled with tears. No, my child. I would give myself instead. But she smiled, a small, sad smile that would live forever in Igala hearts. You are the heart of the kingdom, my father. If the heart stops, the body dies. Let me be the blood that keeps it alive. The king wept. The night before the oath. The palace became silent. Even the drummers did not beat that night. The people sensed that something sacred was unfolding. In the dark, under the sacred ape tree, the Idah knelt. Before him lay a calabash of river water and a white hen, symbols of purity and sacrifice. He raised his hands to the sky and spoke. O gods of Idah! If my daughter's life is the bridge between doom and peace, let her name never be forgotten. Let the river remember her forever. Thunder rumbled far away, as though the heavens had heard. Sound of distant drums rising. And so began the night that would shape the soul of the Igala people forever. The next dawn, the king would make his choice, and the gods would claim their due. They gathered at the Ega shrine, by the edge of the River Niger, a place where mortals and gods often met in whispers. The sky was pale, the birds had gone silent. Only the soft chant of the Adama, chief priest, carried through the air. He held a staff carved with ancient signs, the stories of past kings, of battles fought, and promises made to the ancestors. The people stood far back, heads bowed. No one dared to speak the princess's name aloud. For this was not death, it was covenant. The princess and her father. Princess Inikbi, dressed in white, came forward. Her body shimmered with palm oil, her wrists clinked with ivory bangles. Behind her walked 4 maidens, her closest friends, who had sworn to follow her wherever she went, even into the land of spirits. Ayegba Om'Idoko stood tall beside her, his royal robe heavy with gold threads and sorrow. The people said they had never seen their king look so human, so broken. "My daughter," he said softly, "I asked the gods for strength. But all they gave me was love." Inikbi placed her hand upon his cheek. "Then let love be your strength, my father. For when the drums of war fade, the land will remember not my death, but your courage to let me go." The wind sighed through the trees. Even the river seemed to hold its breath. The priest raised his staff high. "Ojo ke Idah. Ojo ke Igala. Rain for the king. Rain for the people." He poured libation to the earth. Palm wine soaked into the red soil, an offering to the spirits below. Then the calabash of river water was brought forward. Inikbi knelt beside it, her reflection trembling upon its surface. The priest spoke. "The river demands life to give life. The kingdom demands one heart to shield many." Ayegba's voice broke. "If I could trade my crown for her breath, I would." The priest looked at him, eyes wise and steady. "The gods do not bargain, my king. They only remember." He turned to the princess. "Inikbi, daughter of Ayegba. Do you come willingly?" She nodded. "I come with peace in my heart." The priest placed a red cloth over her shoulders, symbol of sacrifice. Then he drew a line in the earth, encircling her and her maidens. "From this circle, no shadow returns," he said. The maidens clasped hands. Inikbi closed her eyes and whispered, "Ain Igala, che me. Land of Igala, hold me close." The drums began, slow, deep, sorrowful. The earth seemed to weep with them. And as the sun reached its peak, the ritual was done. No cry, no struggle. Only silence. Then thunder rolled across the sky, as if the heavens themselves bowed their heads. Days later, the Jukun army came. 1,000 spears gleamed beneath the burning sun. Their war drums shook the hills. But something strange happened. As they crossed into Igala land, the ground beneath them trembled. The river swelled, flooding their paths. Their horses grew wild, their arrows misfired. Fear spread through the Jukun ranks like disease. They spoke of voices rising from the water, soft, sorrowful voices chanting in a language they did not understand. "It is the song of the dead," one whispered. "The Igala have bound the spirits." The battle began anyway. The warriors of Idah fought with fury and faith. Their eyes burned with the memory of Inikbi. They said her spirit moved among them, a mist that turned blades aside and whispered courage into weary hearts. By sunset, the Jukun were broken. Their king fell on his knees before Ayegba's warriors and cried, "The gods of Idah have swallowed us." The land was saved. But the king did not rejoice. After the war, Ayegba sat alone in his palace. The drums of victory beat outside, but his heart heard only the echo of his daughter's laughter. He visited the river every night. He would stand there, silent, staring into the water as though waiting for her to rise again. One evening, the priest came to him and said, "My king, the gods are pleased. The people sing your daughter's name." Ayegba nodded slowly. Then let them sing. For I cannot speak her name without bleeding. He raised his hands to the sky. O ancestors, may her spirit never wander. Let her sleep in the heart of the river. And the wind answered softly, like a child's voice carried on the water. Father, I am with you. The storyteller pauses. The fire crackles. Children, remember, in every victory, there is a price unseen. The Igala did not win with swords, they won with love, with sacrifice, with the blood of a princess whose heart was greater than any crown. The River's Lament. Told in the calm, resonant tone of an elder storyteller by the fireside. The faint beat of a drum. The sigh of wind over water. After the war ended, the land of Igala blossomed again. The markets filled with laughter, the farms greened, and the drums of Idah sang songs of peace. But within the palace, Ayegba Om'Idoko carried a silence heavier than iron. Scene 1, the king who stared at the river. Every dawn, before the cock crowed, the king would walk alone to the banks of the Niger River. He would sit upon a flat stone and listen to the flow of the current, as if the water spoke to him. The servants would find him there for hours, whispering softly. Inikpi mi, agi mi enin. My Inikpi, my light among shadows. Sometimes, they said, the mist above the river would shimmer, and a shape like a woman's would rise, her face calm, her eyes sad but gentle. Then Ayegba would bow his head and say, You have become the breath of this kingdom, my child. The river carries your spirit. And when he returned to the palace, his steps were slow, not from weakness, but from the weight of memory. The people remember. Seasons passed. The rains came and went. The kingdom flourished, but the people did not forget. Every year, on the night when thunder first rolled across the sky, the women of Idah would gather by the river. They would carry lamps made of gourd and palm oil, and as the moon rose, they would chant. Inikpi, Omi Igala. Inikpi, water of Igala. Onu Ejul Che Ni. Your sacrifice guards us still. The men beat the drums softly, their rhythms like the heartbeat of the earth. Children were told never to play roughly near the river, for the princess slept there, and her dreams kept the waters calm. Years later, when Ayegba had grown old and his beard was as white as ash, he fell ill. The palace healers came, but he waved them away. No medicine can cure the longing of the heart, he said. He called his council and spoke to them in a voice slow and sure. I have ruled long, and I have seen the gods' mercy. But know this, a kingdom lives only as long as its people remember where their blood was spilled. He asked to be carried to the river one last time. There, under the same ape tree where his daughter had stood, he lifted his staff and placed it upon the ground. Here shall my spirit rest beside hers. When the rain falls and the river swells, let it sing the story of Ayegba and Inikpi, the king who gave, and the daughter who became the shield. As the sun set, he whispered. Ojo mi te, Inikpi. My rain has fallen, Inikpi. And then, quietly, he was gone. The river breeze rose and carried his final breath away, toward the western sky. They buried Ayegba close to the river. The people wept, not with sorrow, but with pride. Two spirits now watched over Igala land, the king and his daughter, united in eternity. In the years that followed, travelers passing Idah spoke of strange wonders. How the river sometimes glowed at night, how fishermen heard a woman's song beneath the waves. And how, when the kingdom was in danger, the water turned restless, warning the people to stand strong. Even today, when storms roll across the Niger, the elders of Igala tell their children. Listen to the wind, that is Inikpi's song. And when thunder answers, that is Ayegba's pride. The Griot leans forward, voice low and steady. So, my children, remember this. Power is not in crowns or swords, but in the heart that bleeds for others. The Igala stood tall because one king dared to love beyond himself. And one princess dared to walk into the river for her people. Their spirits became one, the river and the crown, the blood and the land. Igala lives. And as long as their story is told, the river will never run dry.